It's officially NFL Combine Week, and this little show is about to hit the road, but we got about 60 to 90 minutes in us to preview this thing before heading to Indianapolis, Johnny V.
Plus, where does Daniel Jeremiah have some of the Card fans' favorites ahead of his top 50? Also, we dive into the gross Josh Sweat free agency odds. They dropped this morning. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hello and welcome in live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Give us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm in Studio K with my two best friends, Brack, Damon, Dawg behind the mic. Combine Week is here, brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365.
It's not ordinary to hear the live, in person, just, point blank range from my eardrums.
Yeah, but, that'll make you bleed a little bit.
It was special, though. It made me feel alive, and I'm excited to see the chat here. Everybody here early with us. Mr. Fat Gangster, T. Clearly, Shaft, Han Shot First, Marley P., the squad. The squad together, ready to hit the road, ready to check out some prospects, as you would say, working out in their
skivvies.
Their skivvies, that's right.
Yeah.
Trying to get the fastest time they can, running 40 yards, putting in some work on the bench press. We're starting to figure out who's going to work out. Shedeur Sanders, a big fat fraud.
Soft.
Not going to do anything, doesn't like to compete.
Ashton Genty, soft. I mean, we'll talk about it. Perfect opportunity for our sweet baby boy, Cam Skattebo, just to push Ashton Genty off to the side.
Just separate a little bit.
Yeah.
But those who are going to descend upon Indianapolis and are going to put forth their most competitive feat, like a tip of the cap to you. I respect that, and I love for those who just want to improve their draft stock and basically tell the world, I want to be an Arizona Cardinal.
Yeah.
Not too high, right? 16, and then let's top out.
Yeah, we did the thing last year, and again, special circumstances for special players, and we went to the Combine last year. We had a great time. Sweet baby Marvin Harrison Jr. was basically MIA. He was not there. I mean, he was there, but he wasn't there for us, which made us sad. I mean, there's a fairly great chance that the players that we see this week, that we get to talk to, that we get to see work out, they're going to be an Arizona Cardinal by hook or by crook, right? The 16th overall. You would expect that, right? Now, 2 years ago, we chatted with Paris Johnson Jr. He ended up being a Cardinal. That was great. Marv last year, no on-field workouts, right? No presser availability. Like, the Cardinals are not drafting Shedeur Sanders, pick 16th overall. One of these prospects that are going to be at the podium, that are going to be working out, and specifically, hopefully, up front on either the offensive or defensive line, are going to be a Cardinal. Like Mike Green is going to work out. Walter Nolan going to work out. Josh Simmons going to work out. Kelvin Banks Jr. All of these guys that we're going to slobber all over, they're going to be on the field, and they're going to be exercising their right to be an Arizona Cardinal this week.
Right. And you know what was interesting about last year was you had the Combine holdouts, and they did exactly, for the most part, what they anticipated, not dropping their draft stock. Like Marv was going to be the first non-quarterback off the board. I think you saw some guys solidify some things as far as the quarterback position goes. But nobody really vaulted their draft stock. Like, we remember Dallas Turner, we remember the Monti Shimmy.
Yeah.
But that didn't vault Dallas Turner up in the draft, up the board.
Yeah.
To where, I mean, you had to wait for, didn't Dallas Turner go 17th, 18th in the draft?
Yeah.
He was the second defensive player off the board.
Yeah.
And so, how much stock should we put into this week? I'm really curious, mostly for an information gathering standpoint, talking to those in the know, just kind of, if it matches up with what we've been previewing the last month and a half, where the Arizona Cardinals view like they can improve their roster through this draft.
I think it's different than last year for a lot of different reasons. We've talked about it, like save for the Travis Hunters of the world, which it sounds like he might exercise, he might work out, he might run as a DB. TBD on Abdul Carter. Like I put those two individuals in a special category, and maybe Mason Graham. Outside of that, like I think everybody else has a lot to prove this week. Like Will Campbell, is he the best tackle? Is it Kelvin Banks Jr.? McMillan, right? I saw, our guy T-Mac, Damon Dawg, on a bunch of, top 50 big boards falling outside the top 10. I don't think there's a consensus yet. I think we will get a consensus here after this week, heading into pro day season and top 30 visits. But I think this is the perfect year, if you're a combine junkie like we are, to go into the combine with an open mindset. Who's better, right? Mikael Williams or Mike Green, right? Is, the other linebacker from Georgia, Jalen Walker, is he Isaiah Simmons 2.0? Like,
don't you dare say
we're going to have a lot of questions like that, right? When the fourth overall best player on Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, which we're going to get to later in the show, is a running back from Boise State, nobody's taken this week off, right? That wasn't last year. It was who? Caleb Williams and Marv and, of course, Drake May and Malik Neighbors and our, sweet baby prince out of ASU who transferred to LSU and then went to the Commanders, he who will not be named, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
It was just a who's who.
Yeah.
I guess we will. It was a who's who of players. So much so that, like, people were like, Brock Bowers is the best overall player in this class. He went in the teens, right? And he worked out. So I just feel like at the end of the day, this class, if you're not Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, you have everything to prove.
Yeah. I'm excited because I was saying it like late last week, just this edge class. We know there's depth. We know that there's talent. But trying to decipher who is going to be the impact makers, that's the toughest thing. When you mentioned Jalen Walker, as far as the polarization, as far as him playing off ball more snaps than he did off the edge, but them, saying this is an edge. This is an edge. This is how you look at this guy. Just take it out of the equation that he's a guy that can play, inside backer. And then you got guys that, we got more insight as far as Mike Green. There was some questions when he made the decision to transfer out of University of Virginia to a smaller school of Marshall, and James Pierce Jr., more kind of insight as far as why he's viewed as maybe a character concern from Tennessee. And you just trying to figure out like, okay, the Shamir Stewart's, the lack of production, but do you marry that with the upside as far as the physical traits, the athleticism?
Yeah.
Can you break through that with confidence in your coaching staff? It really is just kind of a fascinating class, and to try to get insight, and you always do a great job in taking everything we learn here in Indy and you funnel it into a great blog post at gophnx.com, kind of the rumblings, like how we're going to kind of separate these guys and put them in the categories as future Cardinals and just, prospects that people are intrigued by.
Yeah. And again, we're hoping to hear more than just from players at the Combine this week. Like what this week hopefully allows us to do is get a head start on free agency, right? We're talking about the major players, whether it's Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick, Milton Williams, right? Maybe a Trey Smith at guard, Mekhi Becton. Like, what is the realistic opportunity for the Cardinals to sign those players?
Mm-hmm.
This is the week where once upon a time, the groundwork was laid by Steve Keim to trade for DeAndre Hopkins to do the heist with Bill O'Brien, right? Once upon a time with Bill Belichick and Chandler Jones, all that was done. The free agency primer is not next week. It's this week at the NFL Combine. A lot of preliminary deals get done. Don't worry about the tampering period, all that garbage. This is the week where everybody's together in the Midwest, in Indianapolis, when there's about 3 places to eat, so you have nothing better than to talk shop and talk football. We're going to get to Daniel Jeremiah's top 50. Damon, can we see the schedule? Do we have the schedule for this week? I know a lot of people have been asking us. And again, I have to squint. It's a little legible. This was sent out by the NFL. Again, yesterday, players began arriving. Today, we'll get that pre-examination. Teams, players continuing to arrive. And then tomorrow, we're going to have the general medical examinations, right? We're going to hear about hand sizes. We're going to hear about weight, right? Remember the kid from, what was it? Georgia last year, maybe a little bit overweight, ended up going to the Tennessee Titans. What was that kid's name?
Oh, you talking about Texas?
Yeah, excuse me, Texas. Yeah.
Tavon
Sweat.
Devondre.
Devondre Sweat, excuse me. Was a big guy.
Mixed in a DWI,
He
too.
did. Not ideal. Hopefully there's no Jalen Carter off the field concerns that
There's
come
always
out.
something this week.
Yeah.
There is. There's always something this week. You had the Jalen Carter 2 years ago. You had the Devondre Sweat. You even had a little something with the Marv situation, just where we're standing there waiting for him to jump on live at the podium, and it's like, Marv's not talking today, and then poor heartbroken Johnny Venerable going, what?
Huh? And then they switched his card out for Drake May, and we all said, boo this man. But on-field workouts officially begin on Thursday. And I think that's the only day we're going to be able to get to watch them live, and it's the perfect day because it's the defensive line. It's defensive line. It's front seven players. Mixed in a little bit of the bench press is going to start Thursday and Friday. But then tomorrow, we will have full coverage on this show. Both Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon speak at the podium tomorrow live. We'll have the full pressers up here at PHNX Sports on YouTube. And of course, it'll be a part of our live show. And of course, our schedule, it's tweaked a little bit this week. We're going to be at 2:30 tomorrow. And then I believe 2 o'clock the rest of this week. But again, GMs, coaches begin to speak tomorrow through Wednesday. On the field workouts begin Thursday. And then podium interviews, I think, begin on Wednesday as well.
Yeah, and let's not forget, this is important as it pertains to this organization, the third rendition of the NFL Players Association report cards are dropped this week. We're going to see how much, chipping away Monti Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon did to an organization that when they entered were receiving grades of like F-. The weight room was a hazard. And, as far as belief in confidence and ownership, it continued to kind of wane even through last year, but there was a lot of confidence in the coaching staff. But then Jonathan Gannon received an A-. You're starting to see them take just failing grades across the board and start to turn those things around. Like they were getting grades that were basically just above non-participation grades. So if they can continue on the up and up, that's only going to continue to trend this organization the right direction. But excited to hear what the NFLPA has to kind of tell us more about what we might not get, information about. I mean, I'm at the facility as much as I possibly can be, but then there's locked doors. There's access that I don't have. That the players, I think that this does them such a service for and keeps the organizations accountable in order to make sure they're making the right moves in proper keeping things up to date and being as innovative as possible and making the players comfortable and just really ready to get themselves ready to compete.
I think they will improve by default for a very specific reason. I think they're trying to be better, but I think they will improve by default. A general, consistent point of emphasis on this team has to get younger under Monti Ossenfort, who are likely critical of a lot of these facility issues, right? And I know at the collegiate level, young players have probably better facilities than the Arizona Cardinals. But I think the Cardinals, and maybe for lack of a better term, the naiveness of young players that are on rookie deals, that are undrafted free agents, right? They're, I think, the fifth youngest team in the NFL. It's hard to be critical when you haven't seen what else is out there. Whereas on the tail end of the Kime Bidwell era, before they moved into Ossenfort and Gannon, it was a lot of veterans, right? And a lot of veterans that said, this isn't good enough. I've been around the block. I've seen a couple different teams. And again, it's partially their fault for signing with the Cardinals when they did. But I think they'll be better because the Cardinals have a lot of young, impressionable players on their roster. And that's not a knock against anybody. I just think that that's a big common denominator. Look, outside of like Budda Baker and James Conner and Kyler Murray, like who are the older players on this team that have a lot of weight, right? It's a lot of guys on first, second, third year contracts making very little money that are probably like, yeah, this is pretty good. I'm playing the NFL now. So I don't think they're going to be in the upper tier, but what were they? Second to last 2 years ago when they debuted at the Combine behind Washington and Dan Snyder. Then last year they had creeped up to like the late 20s.
27?
Yeah. So like realistically, could they get into 22,
Man, this is so
23,
reminiscent
24 territory?
My life as a student. This is so reminiscent.
Right.
It's just like,
Just
hey, man,
incremental steps.
27th in the class of 32. Not bad. Really trying. I see you out there, Bo. Really sharpening your
Hey, any
skills.
improvement's an improvement, am I right? Couldn't have been worse 2 years ago when those grades broke out. We had to react to that live. Speaking of live, we're going to stay live here. Drop a like on this video. Daniel Jeremiah released his top 50 prospect updates. It's got some jarring omissions and some rankings, but the consensus is his top 50. Good news if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan. We're going to look at some notables coming up here, plus Josh Sweat's free agency odds. Where are the Cardinals? We'll tell you. That's coming up. Before we get to any of that, I want to talk to you about our friends at Phoenix Raceway. The NASCAR scene returns to Phoenix Raceway March 7th to the 9th. You know what's funny is, when you're on Instagram and you can see what other people like, right? My co-host here, are you like a sneaky NASCAR fan? I see some of you liking some posts, some NASCAR posts, some stock car posts.
Yeah.
You need to educate me on the NASCAR scene because I don't know anything other than big-time NASCAR scene coming to the Phoenix Raceway March 7th to the 9th. Join us as the stars of the NASCAR scene battle for the Shriners Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway. Tremendous cause. There's nothing like witnessing the stars of NASCAR battle 200 miles per hour on this 1 mile oval raceway in the foothills. Have you been to the Phoenix Raceway before?
Yeah, plenty of times. A gearhead like myself?
Yeah, you're a big-time gearhead. Mm-hmm. You're a truck guy. You're a gearhead. 40 drivers will compete against the likes of Chase Elliott. Denny Hamlin's going to be on the scene. Bubba Wallace. These are the who's who on the NASCAR scene. Plus, 2024 NASCAR Cup Series absolutely champion Joey Logano is going to be there as well. It's the best in-class fan experience. The whole family can't forget. And again, we're out of football season. It's NASCAR season. Get your tickets now. PhoenixRaceway.com.
Unbelievable. It's the party out there in Avondale. It's tough to beat what's going on for NASCAR. It's so nice they run the race twice. They do it in spring, and then they do it to wrap up the season in November. Bet you didn't know that. It takes a real gearhead like myself to know that kind of stuff. I know.
Vroom.
Speaking of things, I do a little Insta stalking as well. And you're in the market for some new shades for the Casa out there. Yeah, you need to extend your outdoor living space with custom fit awning. How about All Pro Shade Concepts? It's unreal what's going on over there. Hundreds of designs and colors to choose from that match any home. It's not just like these cookie cutter, they're just going to retrofit it to your home and it's going to look silly. No, they're going to make it look perfect. And you can work with all those, you got to deal with the HOA. Always a nuisance, always a menace.
Hate those people.
But they'll get the approvals that you need. Motorized, retract, and remote control with LED lighting and light up your patio under the awning. You got to check it out. In business for 20 years in the Valley and started making window shades by hand for friends and family in Phoenix. Now they're one of the largest installers of patio roll-down shades and motorized awnings in the Valley. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Tough to beat what's going on. Actually, you can't beat it at All Pro Shade Concepts. Call them right now, 623-204-1476. That's 623-204-1476. Visit allproshadeconcepts.com now. Schedule your free estimate. It's not going to cost you a dime. Free estimate, All Pro Shade Concepts.
I love those shades. I see them on other people's houses. I'm envious, and I'm like, I just don't know who to call, right? Now you do. All Pro is going to hook you up. Daniel Jeremiah hooking us up with his top 50. And before we get to that, I want to remind everybody, like this button. And again, if you want to check out Fran Duffy's top 50 and more player evaluations, become a diehard, go PHNX.com. We're going to have Fran on set with us this week. We're going to be talking about anything and everything NFL Combine, NFL Draft. But, Daniel Jeremiah, kind of the who's who, the godfather right now on the NFL Draft scene. Of course, you can see him on NFL Network. He's been on this show. And when people talk, he listens as it relates to his top 50, right? It's not necessarily a reflection of what will happen. But, we're getting down to brass tacks here. We've got Combine this week. We've got Pro Days right around the corner, private visits. I feel like before we jump into this, because this is such a heavy class on line of scrimmage players, like it's going to be hard, knock on wood, for the Arizona Cardinals to screw this up.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
You just hope that, you're not looking back in hindsight and saying so many opportunities came up and went and passed and they didn't, tap into this class. But they've proven that they are willing to lean into the strength of the past 2 draft classes. They really have. And I think, they did it in year 1 where it wasn't, Paris Johnson Jr.'s class wasn't considered a deep one, but they were able to find players at premium positions early and often in their top 100 picks. And they were able to, really expedite this rebuild, or just get it on track, I should say, with getting a tackle first round, getting a pass rusher. Now, I know there's a lot left that you want to see from B.J. Ojulari, but you're able to kind of check that box, then getting Garrett Williams, Michael Wilson. That was what they needed to do. They just needed to accomplish and filling premium positions with draft and develop type players. And then the next year they leaned into the strength, which was, get a wide receiver. They got the best one as far as prospect wise in the class, 4th overall. And then they go and they, got a tackle late, and they were able to kind of fill in some other gaps along the way. So now it's like, this is a defensive front 7 heavy draft. It's rich with talent. Lean into it, because it seems like you've been standing impatiently, almost to a fault, waiting for this opportunity. Don't let it slip through your fingers.
Yeah, you remember Ossenfort's first draft class. And remember, people are like, that's not a great draft. The Cardinals made out pretty well. They said it was solid offensive tackle and quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the Cardinals had a quarterback. They still do. Bryce Young, of course, C.J. Stroud, and Anthony Richardson went. And then on the flip side, the tackle group that year, and we saw it firsthand at the Combine, of course, Paris Johnson Jr., the quintessential top tackle that went to the Cardinals. Then there was a little bit of a drop-off. Darnell Wright has been okay, solid for the Chicago Bears. Peter Skoronski, T-Rex arms, has to have moved from tackle to guard. Remember, a lot of people thought maybe he can play tackle. Hasn't shown to be the case. Titans are picking 1st overall for a reason. Steelers taking Broderick Jones at 14. He's been very inconsistent, right? Jacksonville Jaguars, Anton Harrison, not a great player. I mean, like, the Cardinals jumped on the best player at a premium position, right? Outside of quarterback, doesn't get much better than offensive tackle. And then you mentioned it this past year. It was like, lean into the strength. What was the strength? Wide receivers, right? Quarterbacks and wide receivers. They didn't need a QB, so skill players. And then you look at with the pick later on, okay, Darius Robinson. There was a run on defensive lineman, right? The run on defensive players started in the mid-teens. Ossenfort almost traded up for D-Rob. And then what happened in the second round? There was a run on cornerbacks, right? I know people don't love the fact he traded down, but it was Cooper DeJean and Kool-Aid McKinstry and Max Melton going to the Cardinals. So I don't want to say he's a trendsetter or he follows trends, but he doesn't go outside the norm. And we bring up like the Isaiah Simmons draft in particular, where that felt like such a Steve Keim pick before it was even selected, right? Yeah. It's like, look at all these receivers. Look at all these tackles you could take. Right. Tristan Wirfs and CeeDee Lamb. Jerry Jeudy was available. And the Cardinals said, no.
Wills.
Yeah, right? A lot of just really high-end players. Let's take the guy who's positionless. Let's take the guy that played in the ACC. Let's take the guy that we don't really know how we're going to utilize him. We just love that he's a freak athlete. I want to just remind everybody of that, because Ossenfort is completely different. I'll be critical of him, of his free agency strategy, and we could put his feet to the fire here in the next couple of weeks. But here's what I know. He's going to take a player at 16 that we're going to watch work out that we know exactly what they're going to do with, where he's going to play, what he played at the collegiate level, translating probably from a Senior Bowl prospect that played that position in Mobile. Like, there's not a lot of connecting to the dots, which is a nice reality, because for the longest time, it's like, can we just raise the floor here? Can we hit some doubles instead of going for home runs and we're striking out every time we have a first-round pick?
Yeah, and things have changed, right? I mean, at least there's a high floor that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
From at least 2 of their first 3 first-round picks. The jury's still out on Darius Robinson. I'm very confident, especially from what I witnessed in training camp last year before the injury, that this is going to be a guy that's going to be able to play. And we'll talk to JG, we'll talk to Monti Ossenfort as far as their standpoint on that. And I would imagine it's similar, right? I think there's a lot of confidence coming from Tempe about that, about Darius Robinson. But yeah, it's raised, and then with those guys that are going to continue to kind of trend in the right direction, especially starting to hit, the middle, the early part and middle part of their rookie contract. It's so important to get that production, and then also make your case for, are these guys that we pick up the 5th-year option and add the extensions to. One thing I'm really curious for is to see unfold is the strategy, because Daniel Jeremiah, we'll get to his top, is it 50 prospects here in just a minute, but like what he said last week about this edge class. Are you going to, is Monti Ossenfort, his scouting department, him and Dave Sears, his AGM, are they going to be able to decipher? Are they going to have a guy, an edge, at the top of their board that they're going to trust? They're going to say, this is a guy that if he's there at 16, we take him? Or do they view that maybe that's a position that they could value down in the second round and they wait? And because there's not much of a difference between, the James Pierce Jr.'s, the Mike Greens, and the JT Tiamaloa from Ohio State, like the Landon Andersons, those guys.
Yeah, and I don't have an issue with that, but you can't then come out in free agency and sit on your hands and say, hello, let's welcome back Baron Browning Jr. and Dennis Gardeck with a bad knee. It's like, if you want to F around and take a second-round pass rusher, even though I love my boy Jack Sawyer, you take him at 47, that can't be your end game, your end result for applying pressure in 2025, right? Like Zaven Collins, respectfully, should not be a starter. It should be a stud free agent signing. Then if you want to go a platoon with Zaven Collins and Jack Sawyer or JT or whomever, you can do that. But unless you're hell-bent, and that's why I think free agency is such a big hurdle for Ossenfort to clear, because then if he doesn't secure a Sweat, a Reddick, etc., then you almost have to make that pick 16 a pass rusher by default.
Yeah. And here's what Schaff is saying. Obviously the depth at D-line, he's saying 41 D-line, invite him to combine. That's why he would go edge first unless they fall in love with the left tackle. And tackle is another position that I think we need to do our homework on this week, because there is a need for a right tackle with Jonah Williams' situation and Calvin Beachum, that if they re-sign, and it seems like all points are going that direction, at 35, that he can be somebody that can be a stopgap. But I see a discrepancy or disparity from Mason Graham, Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, and then the next crop.
Yeah.
I think that we're at the edge. It's a little bit closer, in my opinion, to where I think you can go. You take if Walter Nolan's there, I think you submit the card and you take a guy like that.
You don't screw around with that. We're not screwing around here on this show. Right around the corner, we're breaking down Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, all the notables, and why it's looking good for the Arizona Cardinals not having a top 10 pick this year. That's coming up right around the break. I'll tell you, it's looking good for us when we're traveling in and out of state with our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of PHNX Sports, the Arizona Cardinals, and me, Johnny Venerable, and the Venerable household. I'll be slapping down my Desert Financial debit card this week, taking care of my bros, right? Hey, you guys need a round of drinks? Does anybody need a Sammy? I'm taking care of you on and off the field with our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. They've got financial experts committed to their members and their community, offering financial goals tailored to helping real-life people like you, like me, and check them out. It's greater, I'm screwing around right now. It's greater than just a transaction, right? It's greater than just an ATM visit. They've got savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Plus, if you're an Arizona sports fan, there's no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial Credit Union. It's the only place to show your team spirit every time you make a purchase with the exclusive Visa debit card. Again, we'll show it on the screen here in a second. The favorites, the trio, right? They've got the helmet, the player, and the Redbird. It's awesome, especially when I travel out of state. People love it. The black background. Show your team spirit online. Open up a free checking account. Go to desertfinancial.com/Cardinals to get started. Opening up a checking account takes a matter of minutes. Debit card, by the way, did I mention it's free? Comes in the mail a couple days after the fact. Level up your financial acumen today with our friends at Desert Financial.
Johnny, always so generous with flashing that debit card, unlike Alligator Arms, Shane Diefenbach.
Sure.
Yeah, when that check comes, he's just quick to pull back. Who's a wide receiver that would always get those Gator Arms?
Juju. He's the Juju Smith-Schuster of our traveling crew.
When the old check comes out, there's old Juju Smith-Schuster, Diefenbach. Yep. One thing that you don't want to mess around with, though, is when you're selling your home, you got to pick the right realtor. How about tap into the best real estate team going on in the Valley of the Sun, Carol Royce team. Your home sold guaranteed realty. That's right. You just should drop a guarantee. It's too often in sports, you hear an athlete or a coach drop a guarantee, and it's really not worth anything. You get guaranteed on box, and that's all it is. It's just writing. It's just lip service. But not with Carol Royce Realty, the real estate firm right now. Call them 480-776-5231, 480-776-5231. That if you don't get your home sold for 100% of the market value, she's going to pay you the difference. That's right. Carol will guarantee to sell your home for 100% of the market value, or she'll pay the difference. Considering a cash offer, don't just settle for one cash offer. The best offers, you can get at least maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 8. Check it out right now. When it's time to sell your home, make the smart play. Call Carol Royce or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Terms, conditions, of course, they apply.
It's a bad year to have a top 10 pick. There, I said it. Pour one out to our friends. CHGO Bears. How'd you like to lose 10 straight?
I mean,
and
it's
have a
every
top
year.
10 pick? Yeah, for sure. Prayers up for our friends at CHGO. We'll see them this week. Cardinals do not have a top 10 pick. They're picking 16th overall. Daniel Jeremiah dropped his top 50 today. Here are the notables. We love talking about notables on this show. And notice that only 2 of them have a single digit in front of their name, meaning we're eating good from 16 all the way to 31. Jalen Walker, highest rated notable, unless you want to take a tight end, a wide receiver, a running back, or a quarterback. Highest rated edge player, front 7 player, Jalen Walker, 6 overall. We don't assume he's going to be a realistic option for the Cardinals, but you never know. Dallas Turner fell last year. Will Campbell, the highest rated tackle, 8th overall. And then we drop off.
Yeah.
And then it's a little bit like a buffet, smorgasbord. Pick your choosing. Trade down, right? Cardinals, if you're looking for a front 7 / offensive tackle to take, Cardinals ought to be able to kick their feet back and get one of these, 10 players listed.
Yeah, it's especially when you see 2 players here, 6'8", and then you start to get in guys that are ranked where the Cardinals are going to select.
Yeah.
So you've got Mikael Williams in the from Georgia, and then Mike Green, and then you start to look at guys that you would probably be, according to the rankings, the player board, reaching a little bit. So I'm a little bit more bullish on Walter Nolan. I think he's underrated a little bit here. Maybe DJ will go back to his rankings after the combine. But you start to see guys that are going to have more red flags than probably you're comfortable, saying like 16th overall. But that's what the entire class outside of the cream of the crop present.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be comfortable with, hey, this guy's more of a projectable than, a proven commodity coming from the collegiate level. And that's where you start to, that's when good organizations start to separate themselves. When you start winning more football games and your draft slot continues to drop down the board, can you prove your worth as a general manager, as a scouting department, and still being able to find talent? And I think that Monti Ossenfort has at least provided players, no matter where he's selecting, that can contribute to on game days.
Yeah, like there are years where it's like, man, I'm jonesing for a top pick. Like, Look at 2021, the Cardinals, 16th overall. The bone was picked clean. I mean, you got Micah Parsons going 12th overall, and before that, we've got a who's who of notables in the top 10. And then there are years where it's like, probably not a bad idea to be picking in the back half of the first round. I mean, hell, great teams, you mentioned it. The LA Rams didn't have a top, first round pick for 5 years. They get one last year. Jared Verse just falls right in their lap, right? Defensive Rookie of the Year. It is really gross. So I just feel like this year, you tell me, I'm going to read off Daniel Jeremiah's top 10 here.
Okay.
And you tell me who you think would be a realistic option for the Arizona Cardinals if he fell.
Okay.
Now, the first couple are easy. Abdul Carter, first overall. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Travis Hunter.
With Abdul Carter, that's you hold the line for him. You just don't have the ability. Am I right, Damon?
I'm being tongue-in-cheek here.
Yeah.
Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, we feel like big thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's
Travis Hunter in the slot? No, I'm just kidding. I'd rather see him play corner.
I'm
a big Travis Hunter play corner first.
Right. I think he will. He's working out with DBs this week. So the first 2 guys, those are easy yeses. Ashton Genty, 3rd overall.
Out.
Mason Graham, 4th overall.
Love it.
Tyler Warren, 5th overall, Penn State tight end.
Monty loves it. I don't.
Jalen Walker, tweener, Isaiah Simmons clone.
No, he's not.
You're a fan.
Will you put some respect on his
I
name
won't
finally?
until I see him play in the NFL. Jalen Walker, we'll give him a thumbs
By the
up.
end of this draft process, Damon, I guarantee you Johnny is going to be a Jalen Walker convert.
Colston Loveland, 7th overall, tight end, Michigan.
Second tight end in the top 10. Pass.
Pouring out to the top 10, folks. Will Campbell, we saw. That's a big thumbs up. Jada Barron, corner out of Texas.
That's got to be a little bit different in a lot of boards, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I know more than Daniel Jeremiah, but I would say no.
Cam Ward, 10th.
We talked about this Friday.
It's not our preference.
No, you either like if he for catastrophic fall down the board, maybe you still try to find a trade partner, but I just don't see it fit. But yeah, we'll see.
I'm going to cheat a little bit here. 11th overall, Will Johnson, corner out of Michigan.
I mean, he's somebody that's going to be kind of right in that sweet spot. Could be up around 16. I just don't think, unless you really do some heavy lifting in free agency on that defensive front seven, I just don't think you have the luxury to take that corner. But I don't think you could spend me on one of these top corners.
Yeah,
you could. Like I would hate it because of the positional value, and I feel like you've got depth already, and I feel like the Cardinals feel that as well. But he's a really good player.
Jihad Campbell, off-ball linebacker.
No.
Yeah, 12th overall.
Good player out of Bama, though. He's somebody that you could get me at 47 if he, for some reason, is available.
Tyler Booker, interior O-lineman, at 13th best player. So, getting the best interior O-lineman at 16, like there are worse realities than that.
He's an absolute just mountain of a man. Big time kid. Like didn't give up really any pressure last year. I think that's a reality that you might have to start to accept, just depending on how things go this week and how the draft board kind of starts to materialize. Taking a non-premium position at 16th overall.
Jeremiah said he's got leadership qualities on par with Will Anderson Jr., so I'm sure the Cardinals love that. T-Mac, 14th. We've talked about it. Not ideal, and I don't think that's a strong reality, but you'd entertain it, at least for a second. Then you've got Shedeur Sanders, 15th overall. So, just go through that list. It's like 2 tight ends, an undersized running back from Boise State, 2 quarterbacks are like, man, I don't know. I don't love. That's a third of that list right there.
Yeah.
2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks that are meh, and a running back out of Boise State. And then you got some guys where it's like, I don't really love taking a corner pick 16. Like, those are the players right now ranked above where the Cardinals are going to be selecting. Like, again, I'll bang this drum. It's just not a good year. How'd you like to be the Tennessee Titans or the Cleveland Browns taking a quarterback first or second overall that Daniel Jeremiah and even as a top 10 prospect, as a top 12 prospect if you're Shedeur Sanders, right? Like I just you're gonna hear a lot of this week, like so and so would love. They're open for business. Yeah, they're closing for business because nobody wants their pick. They've got a for sale sign. Nobody's buying. They're going into foreclosure with their top 5 pick. Like, people who are putting that out there don't have realistic options. Unlike Ossenfort the last 2 years where they were open for business. They made a trade, then they didn't make a trade, thankfully, with Marv still available. So, teams are really looking to, they're jonesing to trade up for Colston Loveland. That's sounding real good.
I like this from Tim. This draft is sort of whack. It kind of is so far. I mean, it's not the it's a draft for the sickos out there. It really is. You have to kind of get into it. You got to get into the weeds. You got to do your homework. You got to get, watch some film as Johnny's in there with his VCR and he's just rewinding, hitting tracking, making sure he's got the clear picture and really understanding what he's watching out there. But man, this it really is going to be, the value is going to be in the eye of the beholder of the pick with these prospects. Yeah,
it's a good year to pick not in the top 10 because it's going to get gross. How gross will it get? We'll have to wait to find out. Again, big thanks to Damon throwing this graphic together. Let's take a look at it one more time here. The notables. I read you the top 15. I like what I see in the back half.
Who do you like, if in a perfect world, who do you like the most on this list, on the screen right now? Jalen Walker, Will Campbell, Michael Williams, Mike Green, Kenneth Grant, James Pierce Jr., Kelvin Banks, Walter Nolan, Shamir Stewart, and Josh Simmons?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer for you. I think I kind of lumped them all together. Outside, like Simmons, I got a DM before
I think
the show.
Will Campbell, I think you can take out of this. I don't think he's going to be available.
No.
He's going to be a top tackle in this despite his T-Rex arms.
Yeah. Josh Simmons sounds like he's not healthy enough to work out, which is too bad.
Yeah.
Stewart, to me, is going to blow up this week, but the production's not there. So then you're really picking from, Jalen Walker, let's say Jalen Walker's not there either. Let's go from Williams to Noland. I love that group. I would say, honestly, my preference is the two defensive tackles, Noland and Kenneth Grant. Those are probably my two favorite. And then if James Pierce checks out off the field, I know people are a little worried about his vibes he's given out. Green from Marshalls has the same kind of issue. Mikael Williams, is he the lesser of the two linebackers out of Georgia? You never like, getting a lesser prospect from the same university in the same round. And then Calvin Banks Jr., Texas has been phenomenal up front. Cardinals drafted a tackle from there last year. I'm flipping a coin between Grant and Walter Nolan right now.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm going to take Banks and Stewart off my board here. And I also am taking Campbell out of there just because I don't think he's going to be available. I'm ranking Green ahead of James Pierce Jr. as we're looking at the true edge guys.
Okay.
But I'll give you my top three. I think Jalen Walker is my first. That's who I want the most out of this crowd.
You'll have to court me to that side.
Well, you either just jump on board or it's your loss.
You either no ball or you don't.
Walter Nolan, and then probably Kenneth Grant. So pretty similar to you. I just have Walker in my group.
Yeah, I think it could change. It should change free agency. Josh Sweat's an Arizona Cardinal 2 weeks from now. Maybe we're talking a little bit different. They strike out and we're having to talk about Baron Browning for a month. It's DEFCON 1 and you're looking at the best available edge rusher. So speaking of Josh Sweat, Vegas has some new odds. Should we take them seriously? Where do the Cardinals rank? Do they rank? We're talking about it next on PHNX Cardinals.
I'll tell you where Pure Edibles ranks as far as the best place to get yourself some pure gummies in the state of Arizona. It's number one. Number one. That's right. They wake up every day and they're just excellence, just seeping from their pores. Pure Edibles, found in Arizona, available in 130 dispensaries. 130. Unbelievable. You turn a corner and it's right on every corner to get yourself some of the Pure gummies, not covered in sugar like all the competitors. Even our friend Johnny, who's on a bit of a sugar cleanse, can dabble if he wanted to. Ooh. Pure is full-fledged candy company offering gummies, kicks. It's like their version of Starburst. Or how about the chews? They're soft candies like caramel. Or also you got the hard candies. Pure Effects, they are right there on the 10s, and it's listed. So you know what effects to expect. So you're not just going to put yourself in just a crazy spot that ever wants to be in. It's probably the biggest thing. When you talk about gummies, you talk about edibles, people are like, no, I had a bad experience. Pure Edibles is making sure you avoid that by telling you what exactly effects to expect. Pure Gummies, sleep support, uplifting effects derived from unique cannabinoids such as CBM, CBG, CBD, marijuana derived from THC. Pure Gummies are designed to be ripped, bit in half, making them easy to be shareable, great for friends, and also easy to dial in your exact dose. Go find yourself some Pure Edible products from one of the 130 dispensaries around our great state of Arizona.
We're talking if Josh Sweat is worth the sticker price. I'm going to tell you what's worth the sticker price. Anything and everything from our friends at Sanderson Ford. PHNX is proud to have Sanderson Ford as our official vehicle partner. It's truck season, folks. Sun's out, guns out, trucks out. In celebration of Arizona being the 48th state of the union in Ford trucks, you don't do that, being number one in sales for 48 straight years, Sanderson Ford is celebrating President's Day with a President's Day sale on 848 vehicles. Sales are still going on, I'm told right now. Save up to $4,800 on the Bronco Sport Badlands. Need me one of those. Save $10,000 off a F-150 SCX and XLT trucks and $10,000 off a full-size Bronco Badland. Sanderson Ford also has 25 quality pre-owned vehicles to choose from for a price of $25,000 or less. The shop, no hassle approach, no pressure, no nonsense. We're a no-nonsense show, rep by our friends at Sanderson Ford, who are also no nonsense. See why Sanderson Ford is America's top-rated award Ford dealership, complete with customer complete satisfaction. Don't miss these sales going on right now. Offers on 2024 models and include Ford rebates, Sanderson discounts, Conquest cash, and Flex buy discounts. you got to qualify for. See dealer for details. All offers expire here in the coming days. So again, March 3rd is when they expire. Get in on them now. Check out our friends in Glendale, Sanderson Ford, Bo.
Love Sanderson Ford. Can't wait to get down there, see some of the great vehicles, all the great vehicles they have on their lot. Sometimes you can just go down there and get a great meal at the diner right on campus there. Tough to beat. It's gotten to the point where we are, less than 20 days away from free agency?
Like 2 weeks. We're like 2 weeks away.
Yeah. To where you'd almost be shocked if there isn't rumblings around Josh Sweat being an Arizona Cardinal. And I know we're going to try to flush this out this week, but I mean, can you remember a free agent that the Cardinals were tied to pre-free agency this much?
I mean, Keim used to let everything get out.
Yeah.
You knew the Cardinals had interest in Valdir and Ayupati, but they weren't considered.
I don't remember Ayupati, but you were more on the Twitter streets.
I remember Valdir actually, and I wasn't really even that locked in on the Cardinals at the time. Yeah. But I remember that being everyone knew that Valdir was going to be in Arizona.
Yeah. The Raiders just released him, and the Cardinals were like, "Oh, we'll take him. Yeah. Thank you so much." Rodney Hudson, the Cardinals were all over.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
But, I mean, the last two shockers were the Chandler Jones D-Hop trades.
Yeah.
Because you had to keep them under wraps. But I would say, the Sweat thing, here's the problem with it, is, we're still trying to work to figure out if it's real.
The Cobb thing. There was a lot of momentum before the season.
Rod Graves really tipped his hand.
It was Cardinals, they need a quarterback.
Well, I told you that story about Adam Schefter. Do you tell it one more time?
Yeah.
But the early days of Twitter, when it was me, slumming it in 2010, 2011, where Adam Schefter would have his direct messages open, and the offseason came and there was a lockout in the NFL, so nothing was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I DM'd Adam Schefter. I said, because there was rumblings the Cardinals were going to trade for Cobb, and I was like, "Is this going to still happen?" And he goes, "Yes." And it was 3 months in advance.
Wow.
So I wish I saved the screenshot, but he basically was like, "Yeah, it's done," and it couldn't get announced until July, and then they traded obviously a second and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. But yeah, gone are the days where Adam Schefter has his DMs wide open.
Yeah,
it's not like these two co-hosts.
Just got some news as well. I got word that the NFLPA report cards. That'll be going down on Wednesday. So
perfect time.
Yeah, just make sure we'll give you all the details. Looks like they're going to do another press conference on site in Indianapolis. Maybe Johnny and I will tag team it. But more details coming out tomorrow morning. But just got word that the NFLPA will be doing their report card release on Wednesday. So looking forward to that. But yeah, back in the infancy stages, Johnny, Shefty, buddies. Yeah.
That was 15 years ago. And just living on Twitter ever since. Never logged off. It is funny. Rankings, free agency will have an impact on what Josh Sweat opts to do. These are some odds you can get in Vegas right now for where Josh Sweat is going to land. Notable omission on this list, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I look at this, though, and I think to myself, Vegas has no idea. Mm-hmm. Vegas is trying to get people to throw money out there. Damon, you look confused.
I look at this and say, give me any odds on the Cardinals, and I'm putting money on it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's not likely to happen. I mean, I think that the odds would be too damn good. How could you pass up plus 2,000 or better?
Yeah, this is bonkers to see this list. I mean, you can sway me with the Patriots being plus 750 because they have so much cap space, but a lot of these teams are pretty cap strong. Like Philly, just to be minus 175, just considering where they are cap wise. I think they only have about 30 million in cap space, and I don't know if that's effective cap space. And so many decisions to make as far as that roster and what are they going to do with Milton Williams, a couple other spots that they have to kind of look at. Especially when you have so much success and you see so much talent on that roster, it's tough to make all the salaries work. So minus 175, that's bad value there. I don't know why the Raiders check in here. But man, this is a strange odds list.
The Bengals have to pay like 20 guys. The Bengals are like talking about shedding cap.
Yeah.
T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Hendrickson needs a raise. And they're not signing Josh Sweat. Now, like, maybe the Bills, maybe the Saints have no money. The Chiefs have edge rushers on their roster they like. This is just a big throwaway list. And this is not from our friends at Bet365. These are just generic Vegas odds that I guess you can get. This is basically like we're just throwing stuff out there to see people waste money ahead of free agency.
Yeah. These are some pretty big fan bases. Like, Raider Nation's going to show up. The Pats are just starving to add any talent to that roster. Pittsburgh always in the thick of things. Like, this does just kind of scream, can we just kind of steal money from these rapid fan bases?
Woof. But again,
does that give you any kind of does it make you excited that maybe the Cardinals could be? I mean, Josh Sweat's going to command a pretty big salary.
I think the general consensus with Cardinal fans, because you guys are educated, not just because you watch this show, is that Josh Sweat, the Cardinals could use, but he's going to get overpaid. Like, we all know that. Like, he had 8 sacks this year, and he was, absent from 2 playoff games, and he dominated the Super Bowl. Like, that's probably what you're going to get. Like, every 3 games, Josh Sweat's going to have a good game, right? It's not Myles Garrett. It's not Max Crosby. It's not Chandler Jones. So as long as we're all in agreement.
As far as getting to the quarterback.
Right. As long as we're all in agreement.
Because I think Josh Sweat does a lot of good things in the run game.
Yeah, he's a solid, well-rounded player.
Yeah.
That you're going to have to overpay for. And again, like, I think all of us in this chat, on this show right now, watching live, hit that like button, would have done things differently. No one liked the strategy last year in free agency. No one liked the strategy of sitting in our hands and not helping the pass rush improve. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I got to pick from all the bad options. This is the best bad idea we have, to quote our friends at Argo. This is like, okay, if this is what I have to pick from, and you don't love the idea of reuniting with Hassan Reddick, I happen to like that idea a little bit more, then yeah, go ahead and sign him. No. Like I also think it represents something that the Cardinals need to establish, and that's they can reel in a big fish. Like, it's a twofold. It's not just the player, but it's what the player in the contract would represent for Ossenfort.
Right.
You won a recruiting battle, and you got somebody to come here and live in Paradise Valley or Scottsdale and play for his ex-coach, but still you won that battle. And I'll ask Monti Ossenfort tomorrow when we see him, like, how important is it for you to have a perception that big money free agents want to come to Arizona?
You got a long list of questions you got to ask Monti.
We'll see if he lets me ask all of them.
Yeah, it just seems like it's if him and his representation are willing to have that conversation, it feels like there is at least you got VIP access to it due to Gannon and Rollis in that relationship. Can you make the money? Are you willing to make the money right? And can you close it out? Because it does put you in a position to raise the talent floor on a position that has been in the basement, in the cellar. And it's so necessary that you're not bringing in Josh Sweat to be the vocal point of your pass rush. He could be like game 1 next season, but if he is like the future of the pass rush position, then you got issues. But if it's like you bring in Josh Sweat to be a complementary piece to what else you do this offseason, especially in the NFL draft, that I think that will give people will love the move a lot more.
Yeah. It's got to be a piece. It can't be the whole pie. You're not, like, if you trade for Myles Garrett, like, you're basically putting the Superman cape on him and say, save our defense.
Yeah.
Be a top 10 unit. Get us to the playoffs by yourself. But here's where if you're the Cardinals, and hopefully Ossenfort knows this, because, again, I think his comments, we can tweak them and they can get misconstrued, and he talked about the future. I want to be in a position where this team can sign Trey McBride long-term and hopefully give out extensions to Garrett Williams and Marv eventually and Max Melton and these players that they're developing, Michael Wilson if they warrant it. You don't want to be in a position where you're sitting on your hands like Cincinnati and you're like, I can't sign my own players. I get that. I also understand that the Cardinals are not paying anybody right now. Unless your name is Kyler Murray, you're not paying anybody. Budda Baker and James Conner's contract extensions brought down their cap hit from where they were here in 2024, right? We're talking about, like, could Jalen Thompson potentially be released? We're talking about Justin Jones making too much money. Outside of those guys, where a lot of people feel like they're expendable one way or the other, you're not paying anybody of note. Even a Trey McBride extension, we've talked about this, wouldn't kick in until next year. So, like, why the hell do I care if you want to pay Josh Sweat $20 million this year? You're not paying anybody.
Right.
Front load these deals.
Right.
And then who knows, by the time that these deals come dry, maybe you're not paying Kyler Murray as much. Maybe you're not paying Kyler Murray at all. Maybe you're paying a rookie quarterback at that point so that you can afford to pay Marvin big-time money. But utilize the cap as it's presented to you. If you're sitting here saying, well, I gotta be careful. I gotta pay X, Y, and Z draft picks next. Are you sure you'll be paying those checks, Monti Ossenfort? Like, I keep going back to the idea. If I'm a general manager and I only get one shot at this, GMs don't get recycled like coaches do. You typically get one shot. You've had you've eaten your vegetables for 2 off seasons. This is the time, man, to go out and spend some money, is it not?
Yeah, the leash gets a little bit tighter, right? You don't have as long of a leash as you did when you started. You're getting to tear this thing down, and like patience is at a premium. Now it's just like you really gotta make some moves. I don't think anybody will disagree with the opportunity that was relinquished at the end of the year last year. Now the pressure's on to really make the moves necessary to get this team over the hump. And really kind of infusing some talent in that room. It's absolutely necessary. And if it's having to just get a deal done day one and tampering to kind of set the tone, saying this is the direction we're going to go, you got to do it. And if you got to overpay by a little bit, just make sure that you're prepared to do that.
Yeah, we got to see it, and we'll ask him about it. Listen, you guys have an opportunity right now. Here's what I want in the chat. Drop a like right now. We got over 200 watching live on YouTube alone. I want to welcome everybody from our streaming partners. We do this every year. We got Ossenfort and Gannon tomorrow. Okay? If you have a question that you would like to see us ask, right? If it's the general consensus, not only drop it here, drop it in the comments below after the show, like this stream, and then go into the PHNX Cardinals Discord and put it there. We will compile the general consensus questions and we will pose those to Monti Ossenfort. Yeah. We did it 2 years ago with the interview or with the uniform question. We'll do it right now. You give us a general consensus of what you want answered. We will follow up. Smack that like button, though.
Yeah,
please.
You guys are crushing in the chat. And of course, if you're watching on one of our many streaming partners, make sure you get over to gophnx.com as we wrap up those streams. Thank you for watching on TV. Old school. We appreciate. I respect that. I absolutely respect that.
You're an old guy. So yeah.
I see Claymore Jones. It's because I'm old. He's driving up some likes. Smack that like button.
We need it.
But just crushing in the chat. See lots of great questions. Almost outpacing me a little bit. Let's get to a couple of them. Some asking about Will Hernandez. Somebody mentioned that they would rather pay Will Hernandez about $7 to $8 million. As opposed to paying Trey Smith, the 20 that he's going to command. I just think that you want to upgrade the position. Like as great as it is in all the continuity, the leadership, Mijo's been a big part of rebuilding this culture. I think that this team, especially as it views the offensive line, knows that this will work, but I think they want just to create an offensive line like Philly has, where it's just a monster.
Yeah.
I think that their teams around the league are looking at Will Hernandez as one of the most desirable free agents out there.
They should.
Like, I know Cowboys fans are all in on Will Hernandez. A bunch of Dolphins fans want him. Like, teams that need interior offensive linemen, he's like one of the top 2 or 3 guys that they're looking at.
The Cardinals and Will was the majority factor of this. They rehabilitated his image. I mean, he was slung through the mud by the New York Giants and their fan base. Now, on the flip side, it's like, hey, maybe the Giants are poison and you need to get out of that franchise. And he came here and he flourished. He flourished for 3 seasons. So I would be for it. But I can tell you right now, we had the source for our show exclusively. The Cardinals wanted to sign a big ticket guard in free agency. Now, I don't know how the Jonah Williams situation complicates that. We should know on Jonah Williams here in the next, I would say, week or so. And we'll have a chance to ask Ossenfort that tomorrow. But like, I would say, let's say we get a Kelvin Beachum signing, like, a 1-year deal here pretty soon. I think everybody better buckle up for a big ticket guard. And you were predicting that on last week's show that whether it's Trey Smith or your boy Will Fries or Mekhi Becton, who I have concerns about long term, like the Cardinals are going to cut a fat check for a guard in free agency.
And look, it's been very quiet on the Mijo front. Like, and there was opportunity. You saw the guys they prioritized during the season: Yellow Froholt, James Conner, Buda Baker. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but it just didn't seem, just talking to a couple parties involved, that there's been anything. But it's still early. Like, once you get to tampering period, that's when the opportunities could represent themselves.
I would ask everybody too, and the Cardinals, like, we talk about splurging on the defensive line because there's literally nobody but rookies and some journeymen. Who are they paying on their offensive line?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, outside of the guys they overpaid for last year. Who are they paying for on their offensive line? Paris makes no money. They don't have a left guard. Yelda Froholt's contract is very reasonable. It's one of the best deals in the NFL.
Yeah.
Their right guard's a third rounder making no money out of Illinois. And if they sign Kelvin Beachum at right tackle, it's a 1-year contract, probably looking at a couple million.
Yeah.
Good for Kelvin if he gets that. Like, I remember the days you're paying, we just talked about it, Valdir and Ayupati, right? And, DJ Humphries got paid a good amount of money once upon a time. Like, they aren't paying anybody. So, like, we're talking about, like, Trey Smith. A lot of people are critical of what he did in the postseason.
Yeah.
If the Cardinals want Trey Smith, they can make him an Arizona Cardinal. Like, that's the mindset we need to have going into free agency.
Yeah.
If they want X player, they can afford him. And that includes T. Higgins. That includes Josh Sweat, Milton Williams. Hell, they can have multiple of these players. And I think, like, that's one of the sticking points that we'll hamper Ossenfort tomorrow with, is, like, do you feel an obligation, like, you've accumulated this this money, right? Shrewd moves. You've added 20 plus first, second year players. Do you feel an obligation now to go out and get a couple big fishes in free agency that hopefully will get your team over the hump?
Yeah. It's like Trey Smith, he wasn't the only issue on the Chiefs offensive line. Like, I think him joining the Cardinals, potentially their offensive line, everybody wants to say Chicago. That narrative is being driven by Chicago. Right? I mean, in people understanding that's a fan base.
It's 100% driven by their fan base.
Gonna click an article because you have the Bears and Trey Smith and their biggest need and all that. But I mean, their offensive line was an absolute mess outside of Creed Humphrey. I'm just looking at it right now. I mean, you got Trey Smith and Jawan Taylor who struggled as well. He was so consistent for them throughout the regular season. You put him, with Yelda Froholdt, or you put him on the same side. I mean, I don't know if you put him over at left guard, because Trey Smith, you probably pushed Adams over to left guard to couple with Paris Johnson Jr. And then you got, to think what he could do at the right guard position, no matter what the way you go at the right tackle position, it would just put your offensive line in such a great spot.
It's like you're not in bad shape ever paying good players to come play for you, even if the money does. Most of the time, you're overpaying for people.
Yeah,
you're underpaying your center, so then take advantage of what you're paying your left guard. That's how you're underpaying Trey McBride the last 2 years. Take advantage of it. Like, that's what we need to contextualize as fans. Is like they've had a lot of guys under underpaid contracts, right? That we're sitting here and it's like, okay, where are you taking advantage of in other areas to help you win football games? It's all about checks and balances, right? Like, I don't care about a bad contract 3 to 5 years from now if it means the Cardinals make the playoffs this year, if they win the NFC West for the first time in 10 seasons. I don't care about your bottom dollar. I care about winning. Trey Smith is a winner. He's a champion. Josh Sweat, say what you want about him. The lights come on. He kicked ass and dominated the Super Bowl. Yeah. That's who I want going up against Stafford, immobile Brock Purdy, and Geno Smith, right? I don't want to sit here and count our money when we're not paying edge rushers and you're talking up Baron Browning. I don't want those players. I want to pay for the best players in the NFL.
Yeah. We got some great super chats coming in as well. You guys crushing it. Most informed chat, most educated chat in the Cardinals community, in the NFL community, no doubt about it. Just seeing some of these come by. Make sure you drop a like here. Talking about feeding families. It would feed our families and Damon and his situation. Look at that handsome guy.
They don't feed me around here. They actually don't pay me unless the likes.
Damon.
Yeah,
it will feed Damon himself.
My salary is affected directly by the amount of likes on a show-by-show basis.
And then to think about all the gains he's getting in the gym, and then he's on an empty stomach. It's just not. You're hampering his ability to get those gains. But yeah, with all due respect, Eris dropping that as Johnny drops it. His usual with all due respect, and then torches somebody. But I can't wait for free agency. It's like you said, 2 weeks away.
Any reason you can't wait till free agency?
Yeah, because on March 10th, I'm going to have about a 64-ounce ice cold brew. Yeah.
Is that it? Is that all?
64, like a Gatorade.
Like we have these Polar Pop coolers around here, and I'm gonna just have one. It's gonna have the handle, and it's just gonna be like I'm just gonna sip cold brew.
Fill up a Gatorade jug out at the practice facility.
They're going to dump it on me like Nick Sirianni at the end of the Super Bowl.
Isn't it funny? People are like, man, these vices, they should really like make you guys better people.
No.
And I think
It's made me worse.
The consensus is it's turning us off to ever doing something like this again. You're right. It is making us worse. We're going to get to your super chats, but first, we're going to talk to you about our friends at Mando. Here's what I'm not ever going to contend my vice on is personal hygiene with our friends at Mando. Right now, it is the premier starter pack for new customers. It comes with the solid stick deodorant, the cream tube deodorant, 2 free products that you're choosing, like the mini body wash and the deodorant wipes, plus free shipping. What is Mando? Mando is the elite. It's the upper echelon of staying and smelling fresh and clean, and they take care of your pits, your belly buttons, your balls, your butt cracks, your grundles, and more. Their scents are geared toward men with options like bourbon leather, Cloverwoods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport. I'll be walking around the combine equipped with Mando, and people will be coming up asking me what my deal is. They're going to be saying, how do I get on with Mando? Put Johnny.
What's this guy's deal?
Yeah, that's right. Put Johnny at the podium with our friends at Mando, and we're going to hook you up right now as a special offer for listeners. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Again, the code is, of course, PHNX. Tell them PHNX Cardinals sent you at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support the show. Tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Hey, Mando.
Hey, Mando. Also, let's talk about great words that end with O. Spinato.
Ooh.
Spinatos. That's right. Plural Spinato's Pizzeria. They own it. They've established themselves as the best place to watch Suns games and their Phoenix Suns watch parties. Look, vibes are down. They're down tremendous as far as the Suns go. But
I think it's the coach's fault. I don't know about you guys.
Let's just get all the new coaches.
Yeah.
Fire everyone.
Yeah. Who's been the most fired? Who's been the most recent firing?
We need someone who won one NBA championship so we can convince ourselves in the offseason that
they'll bring in like Darvin
coach.
Ham, and they're like, all right, this is the solution.
How much dead money are going to be on the coaching front for the Phoenix Suns here in the near future?
Matt Ishbia writing a lot of fat checks to guys not with the organization any longer. But look, Spinatos, they're going to bring up your Suns vibes because what's going to, I mean, you ever been unhappy eating great pizza? No, it's impossible. Also, you can do your work as far as on the court. You can do the basketball horse contest, but you're spelling Pizza. You're spelling pizza instead of horse, of course. Check it out right now. Spinatos, they're going to take up and really kind of jumpstart, rehabilitate, revive watching Suns games in the Valley these days. You can feel the energy. You can cheer for your team. You can win big. Don't miss out on a chance to be a part of the action. Mark your calendars, Suns fans. You got excitement starting at Spinatos. Get all the info, watch parties for pizza basketball contest at SpinatosPizzeria.com. Spinatos, the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns.
Again, drop a like on this video. Tell us what you want us to ask Monti Ossenfort. Hashtag Mando. There it is. Hey, Mando.
Hey, Mando.
You know where I got Hey Mando from? Does Damon know where I got Hey Mando from? Because it's not in the ad copy. I just say it on my own.
It's your personal catchphrase.
Well, no, it's not. It's stolen, like a lot of things that I use. It is from The Mandalorian, the TV show. His nickname is Mando, and when he goes and gets his ship docked at Tatooine, the little lady that comes and fixes his ship, she always yells, "Hey, Mando!" Does that make you feel better or worse?
She's my least favorite character.
She's a lot of people's least favorite
in the
on
whole
the show.
She's just it's so goofy.
She's out of place.
Yeah,
could have done without it.
Yeah, you didn't need that explanation.
I always love to hear the Hey Mandos, and now knowing its origin story, kind of disappointed.
Bo only hates on Star Wars because me and you like it, Johnny, and that's kind of a good just like encapsulation of who Bo is as a person. He just doesn't want to see us happy. He doesn't like that we like things that make us happy. It's sad, really.
I'll get nerded out. One
You
more
know where the hey
Don't,
man,
don't.
it's actually when Mando, the Mandalorian, it's his nickname, and when he goes to pick up his ship,
His
in
Razor Crest.
in episode 6 of season 2, you'll recognize a certain little lady. Yeah, exactly, Gage. I honestly thought it was a play on Lando. I thought you were gonna go Lando
Calrissian?
Yeah. Thank
Billy
you for
D.
saying
Williams?
this. Yeah. But
No.
apparently not.
Hey, Mando.
I'm not a hater. You know what I am. I'll admit it here. I'm a big time hater here.
Aris, I was just about to bring this up. Johnny, did you see the trailer for Andor season 2? Yes. Love the footage. Hated the decision to use modern rock music with lyrics in the trailer. Egregious decision. Classical John
That's
Williams
not
or nothing.
canon.
It's not. And it breaks canon. I understand why they did it. I don't want any part of that in the show. Get it away from me. But the footage looks fantastic.
I'm pumped about season 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Legacy characters could be on full display. We're happy about that. We're excited about the super chats here. Welcome to Combine Week. We'll just break down the Andor trailer shot for shot.
Oh.
Damon, let's get these super chats going. Again, a reminder to everybody. Perfect week. If you are not a diehard already, $48 to sign up. You get a free piece of merch like this little touchdown tee. You can shop with branded bills at gophnx.com, and you get access to the most banner week of diehard footage and content via the PHNX Cardinals member Discord. Picks, behind the scenes, tomfoolery. We have reservations as I rehabilitate my image at St. Elmo's Steakhouse on Wednesday. Everything and anything will be documented. The only place you can find it. And I love, by the way, that our diehard members, they know it's exclusive and they know it's diehard content. Nothing is repurposed. Like you become a diehard and you know it lives in the diehard Discord. None of it finds itself resurfaced online.
No, it doesn't. It's called Redemption Week. That's what it's called. It's called when Johnny V redeems himself on Wednesday night at St. Elmo's Steakhouse.
I'm all for it. I'm all for these super chats here. Again, drop a like. We got over 200 watching live on YouTube below. Gage, $2. How hard is it to fly with Johnny, Bo?
It's easy peasy. He just sets up. He's probably got, his Disney Plus downloads, and it's like it's a lot easier than flying with my 3-year-old.
Yeah, equally.
But similar.
Just get the tablet out. Get Johnny's tablet out. Get his snacks. Get his Cheerios.
What's on the docket for you boys today from a viewing standpoint?
Well, let me ask you this. Where is my seat? I requested my seat be next to Bo. That was not confirmed yet yesterday. Does anybody know where I'm sitting?
Does that impacts what you're going to watch on the plane?
Yeah, because Bo typically pays for Wi-Fi, and then I like to mooch off of his free Wi-Fi.
Yeah. You know what, Damon, I dropped the ball. I haven't downloaded anything. I'm going to have to get on that.
Time, brother.
I do.
I started the new O.J. Simpson documentary on Netflix yesterday. I'm going to finish that bad boy up. I'm locked in.
Anything about that case, I'm hooked. I'm a mark for that kind of stuff. T. Cleary, dinner picks in the Discord, #JV Steak. Absolutely incoming. Probably too many picks and videos coming your way Wednesday night.
Well,
Alex,
real quick, we also are going to do our part because I know there's some talk circulating online about a certain business going out of business, and that is Hooters. On Thursday, we are attempting to find our way at the Indianapolis downtown Hooters to be able to pay tribute to one of America's finest eateries. As
a staple.
Yeah, on its last legs. But as you saw, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker paid tribute as well, so we will do our part.
At one of the marquee locations, too. I mean, just unbelievable. That Indianapolis Hooters is special.
Well, we tried to get in last year, and it was just too packed. It was a who's who, notables. And so this year, I've done my homework. We're going to get in, and we're going to be treated like kings at Hooters.
Some would say that the respect and the honors that Book and KD paid were some of their best efforts of the week. Alex Dominguez, $4.99. Trey Smith has played the right guard in the NFL. Sign him and draft Donovan Jackson in the second round to play left guard. An elite interior offensive line with Paris would feed families. Yeah, Donovan Jackson filled in for Josh Simmons at left tackle at the end, but primarily played inside for the Buckeyes. Don't forget about Isaiah Adams. He was a guy that was starting games for the Arizona Cardinals. I think they really like him as going into his second season out of Illinois. So what do you do with Isaiah Adams? And you still have, I think, a void to fill, or you want to get some depth at the tackle position with Jonah Williams likely on his way out.
I think you're looking at, if you re-sign Kelvin Beachum, which we are, or I guess we're all assuming is going to happen. Ossenfort talked about it last week. So again, another question for Ossenfort. Will Kelvin Beachum be prioritized tomorrow when we talk to him? That you're going to get a developmental right tackle. Like, you can find a starting right tackle in the second and third round of the NFL draft. And I think this is a good year to do it. Z Warlock, 505, $5 super chat. If Monti and friends don't put a winning product on the field and win at least one playoff game, I think he's going to lose the fans. I think he will lose fans twofold. If he sits out free agency again and has another bust class, and if they miss the playoffs. Like, the general consensus around the NFL is Gannon is overachieving. Gannon's a hell of a coach. That defense on paper, egregious. They were 15th in points per game, right? Ossenfort, I think, has that same perception nationally, maybe not locally. That can all go kaput if you don't win games and have a showcase of that talent come next fall.
Connor Schroyer, $199. Thank you, Connor. If Ossenfort doesn't get Milton Williams, I might crash out. That's something we're preparing this audience for.
You think he might be talking about Joe Milton?
No, I think he's talking about Milton Williams.
I think he could be talking about Joe Milton.
The quarterback from the past.
Cardinals fans they like Joe Milton.
I don't like, if you're the Patriots, they like Joe Milton. They're not getting rid of him.
I'm going to 6th, 7th round pick, and
I'm going to assume he's talking about Milton Williams, the defensive tackle who smacked around Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
I got to pay more attention to Connor's chats. Are you seeing that? Are you getting the vibes he's talking QB?
I've seen a lot of people bring up Joe Milton in the past, so I just was thinking it could be an option, but you're probably right. It's probably Milton Williams.
We're not allowed to talk about backup quarterbacks on this show after Friday's show. People were very upset that we talked about potentially getting a new backup for Kyler Murray.
In fact, you need to shut up right now.
I know. It's like Kyler Murray is actually going to back up himself here in 2025.
41 defensive linemen going to the combine. Milton Williams is a guy who hasn't played 50% of the snaps his entire career. There is the relationship with JG, who was in the war room when he was drafted. He would be a great rotational player on this team, but are they willing to pay for it? Saying not Joe Milton. Thank you for letting us know there, clarifying.
Hey, hand up.
But look, this is a deep defensive line class. You might have to be patient. And you look at the numbers game, Darius Robinson. You got Dante Stills. You got probably Bilal Nichols and or Justin Jones both coming back. So there's you got one more spot as far as that defensive line. Would they look to the draft to have somebody controllable at a cheap price for the next 4 to 5 years? Or are they going to willing to spend at Milton Williams? I just don't want you to crash out too hard, my man.
Veteran writer John McMillan, who writes for Sports Illustrated, has a new article up. I think it's notable because we're tracking all things Eagles and free agents. And he said of the big four free agents for the Philadelphia Eagles, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Zach Baum, and Mekhi Becton, the most likely to return of the four is Mekhi Becton for several reasons. He says his market inside to guard has helped him. They had concerns of longevity due to his troublesome knee injuries, and that's taken money off the table for other teams. Plus, his size power fit is better for Philly than anywhere else, and that Becton feels very much a obligation because the Eagles have rehabilitated his image. The projection right now, Becton's going to get a 3-year, $27 million deal via Pro Football Focus. So he's called a shot. He thinks Mekhi Becton comes back. I could actually see that. They value offensive line play. Yeah. You want to be able to keep this continuity with Saquon and Jalen Hurts. I think this, like all the legwork that they've done in the draft recently with Nolan Smith, right at edge rusher, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, I think they've been preparing to lose these guys, Sweat and Milton Williams. I think, and then they'll just retool this year. Or they'll attempt to.
Connor with another super chat, $199. Do you genuinely think we will sign one top free agent? Think that this is the opportunity that the Arizona Cardinals have put themselves in a position to take advantage of. They've got the cap space. They've done a really good job drafting and developing. Now they see where they have needs. The need is on, the defensive front and maybe a couple on the offensive line. You got to tap into this free agency and sign at least one of these, I think, top 2 or 3 guys at their position. in order to kind of give yourself a good chance going into the 2025 season to push all the chips in the middle of the table there.
We're on our hands and knees for it. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a good transition to this next super chat. Johnny Degenerable, 199. Blow Brack and I are going to save Hooters ourselves.
We're going to do our damn best. Absolutely.
I like Hooters wings. I think they're good. I think they're solid.
Yeah. Food's great.
You like wings at literally every place.
He is the wing king, self-proclaimed, but
perfect night to have Hooters is Thursday for a couple different reasons. Friday we leave, right? We're doing a morning show. You eat Hooters wings, anybody can attest to this. The breading is so heavy that you immediately feel awful afterwards, right? You don't feel good. But you feel good in the moment when you're eating it. I couldn't do
You're not making a great case for this, but yeah.
I couldn't do Hooters
Can't wait, baby.
Tuesday or Wednesday night and then have to be productive the next day.
I've never been, actually.
What?
Yep.
I love it.
When my local town got a Hooters growing up, I got a Hooters shirt and it was signed by everybody there. And
wow.
It was just like 12-year-old.
Did you request that?
12-year-old me, like a signed jersey. I had the T-shirt up.
I bet the Bloomington, Illinois Hooters was just off the charts.
It was like Fitz and Richard Sherman post game. They gave you the signed jersey. You did a little jersey swap.
It's since gone under to no surprise of anyone.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
But
that would have been a nice keepsake.
They're still here.
Look, we're gonna make a lot of memories here coming up. I'm ordering my Waymo. I got the Waymo One app open. We're going to the airport here shortly. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Combine preview. Make sure you like this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. Of course, you're subscribed. You're giving it a 5-star wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a review. It does wonders. Show schedule. Yeah, we did 11:30 today. Tomorrow, 2:30. Post Jonathan Gannon, Monti Ossenfort talking with the media. Takeaways from that. And then we're into it Wednesday, 2 o'clock locally here in Arizona. 2 o'clock locally on Thursday. And then 11 a.m. We're back earlier on Friday to wrap up the week.
Put your Ossenfort questions in the comments below, not in the chat, in the comments below. What do you want to hear from the general manager? Drop a like. For Damon, Bo, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you at the Combine.
We all silly like the mayor.